Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. You may be wondering why in the world Krokar is here on foot rather than riding Grimlock like he pretty much always is, and the answer to that is, this army is randomly generated. Yes indeed, we're here with a free-for-all where all four armies have been randomly generated for maximum chaos and fun. So I'm taking the Lizardmen. I got Krokar as my leader on foot. We've got two Bastiladon solar engines, one Feral Bastiladon, and a Revivification Crystal, which is definitely decent. Front line is Saurus Spears on each flank. We've also got one Saurus Warrior and two Skink Cohort, one Temple Guard in the rear for support. We've got Cold One Spear Riders, Feral Cold Ones, and some Skink Cohort with Javelins. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my build. Over here you can see we've got a bit of Vanguard action between, let's see, Turin and Rising Chaos. Looks like there was 3 units of Dark Riders Vanguard deployed here, right on top of some Death Runners. Death Runners are definitely going to get the better of that engagement. And for the rest of the we'll go through the Skaven army next, since Turin's right here. He's got a Doom Wheel. Front line is Clan Rat Spears. Looks like he got quite a few Skaven Slaves as well. Some Skaven Slave Spears. 2 Poison Wind Globadiers, which is very nice. A Warp Fire Thrower, which is a beautiful unit. Warp Lightning Cannon. He's got Skaven Slave Slingers in the back. He's also got a Plague Claw Catapult. A Gracier Lore of Plague, so at least he got some magic and all the randomness. And some Storm Vermin as well. Just a nice mix of units. And of course these Death Runners here. The Dark Elf force, the rest of the force is over here. Looks like he's got a pretty strong front line with 2 units of Blackguard, some Black Ark Corsairs, Bleak Swords, 2 Dark Shards, one with shields, one without. He's got Dreadlord with the Sword and Shield up on a Black Dragon, which is very nice. 1 unit of Harpies, some Witch Elves. Looks like 2 units of Witch Elves, and 1 unit of Cold One Chariots. Yes indeed, time for some Lizard Limo action. Definitely in for a good time. For Black Iron, the High Elf player here, we've got a Grey Eagle, Tyrnok Chariot, looks like Illyrian Reavers on this flank, 2 Silver Helms, one with shields, one without. He's got a Frostheart Phoenix, a Lothern Seaguard, and a regular Archer, Noble on a Chariot, which is very nice. He's also got 2 Spearmen up front, and looks like Tyrion on foot, so very interesting. And I do believe that's it. Oh yeah, 1 unit of Illyrian Reavers over here. So let's go ahead and kick things into full gear. And you can see immediately this fight ensuing over here. These Death Runners fighting up against the the Dark Riders here are going to get rear charged by these Feral Cold Ones. They're definitely going to crack one open here with these little Skaven. And the the Dark Riders are running for the hills. They're already off the map. You can see this other unit is pulling around, but taking some shots from the Laser Lizard. Going to be making some okay contact, might hit a few trees, but as long as he continues to ride in this back line here, going to get lasered pretty hard. So over here, the Death Runners will eventually beat down those Feral Cold Ones, but the Feral Cold Ones are a very cheap unit, so it's definitely a nice play for me. Meanwhile, this Dark Elf player, Rising Chaos, definitely taking some fire from the Plague Claw Catapult on these Blackguard of Naggarond. That's a bit unfortunate, but it looks like the High Elf player, Black Iron, is going to be moving to meet him here. So the Dark Elf player is going to respond, and then Turin's coming over here to face me, so we're going to get underway. And one thing you guys may have noticed, I've talked about it in a few of my videos before, but I want to release a specific testing video showcasing this. But the Laser Lizards can actually out-trade Warp Lightning Cannons. So, because the Warp Lightning Cannon unit models are so big, they actually, oh my gosh, I didn't notice this little guy on the front with the telescope before. That's amazing. Because their unit models are so big, they're pretty easy to hit for enemy artillery. So the Laser Lizard, for example, you'll see when they start shooting in here, they'll actually blow up the cannons themselves, and then it renders the entire unit useless, basically. So we are going to start moving up. He's doing what he should, though, taking shots at the Revivification Crystal. Over here, I decided to send in a bit of reinforcements here to help deal with these Death Runners. The Doom Wheel of Turin is also coming over on this side as well. So I'm moving my Cold One Spear Riders to intercept. We're also going to get Krokar and the Revivification Crystal over there to help deal with it. Krokar does have armor-piercing anti-large when he's on foot, but it's not quite as much when he's on Grimlock, obviously, and no Fear and Terror, and obviously he's much slower as well, but 15 bonus versus large, 310. But yeah, you can see how that cannon model just blew up from the Laser Lizard. That's because they're so big and easy to hit. So I'll be able to blow up all 4 of these artillery pieces before he's used up probably even half his ammo. That's really nice for me. You can see the the lizard limos charging in here, getting a really nice charge. The issue they're going to face is once they get low enough on HP, they're going to start to rampage, and then you pretty much, they're pretty much useless at that point. You can see some Illyrian Reavers coming through here. They're going to get some nice volleys off. Granted, they're just shooting into Skaven Slave Spears, so probably not the most effective use of their ammo. Meanwhile, the High Elf player being very aggressive here, charging in to the Dark Elf player's position. He's going to be bringing in this Chariot, who's definitely going to have to watch out for the Black Guard here. If he charges straight into them, it's going to be a bad time. Same thing with these Illyrian Reavers. Definitely doesn't want to just charge straight into the front of the Black Guard, but looks like Dark Shard's opening up shots. The Silver Helm's getting a charge on Bleak Swords is very nice for them. They're going to get some good damage done. Getting tangled up in these Witch Elves, though, means they're going to get locked down into combat. You can see Malekith just getting absolutely circle beaten by all these they got the Eagle here and the Frostheart Phoenix. Granted, there's a whole bunch of Harpies in here supporting, but it's all kind of madness up in the air. Meanwhile, these Dark Riders have managed to get in the chicken coop, so to speak, and get on these archers, which is very nice. Meanwhile, in this mainline fight, we're just being very patient with these 2 laser lizards, trying to take out Turin's artillery. You can see already 2 of the cannons down and only 2 more remaining. So, feeling a little impatient, though. I feel like I can probably take this fight head up, so we're just going to start advancing up the pipe. Over here, the Doom Wheel has been dealt with effectively by Kroq-Gar and his Cold One buddies, so they're going to finish off these Death Runners here and hopefully see them off the battlefield. The engagement over here is definitely going to go in favor of the Dark Elves, I would think, in terms of infantry, but he has managed to collapse those Bleak Swords fairly aggressively. The Witch Elves here are going to lock all these guys down, but they're not doing a whole lot of damage against these high armor targets. The Dark Shards as well, taking a lot of focus fire from those 2 units of archers, the Illyrian Reavers and the Lothern Sea Guard here. The other unit of archers looks like is now going to get some support from these spearmen. The Eagle and the Phoenix here were really beating on Malekith quite hard and actually managed to force him away. Looks like they're going to continue the pursuit there. Meanwhile, on this other side of the battlefield, we have opened up the frontline engagement here, and unfortunately, Skaven Slaves are not going to last too long against this onslaught of Lizardmen. You can see the Skinks in here. This is a fight that Skinks will absolutely excel at. And, of course, the Feral Bastillodon and all these other large monsters, heavily armored, are not going to take a whole lot of damage from the Warp Fire Thrower. Very nice Plague Breath going off from Turin. He did agree not to use any of these summons, which is very sporting of him. You can see all 4 of the unit models for the cannons destroyed, like I was saying. I've now turned the attention of the laser dinos up against the Plague Claw Catapult to try and get it off the field, tying down these Poisonwind Globadiers because they are a huge threat to my dinos, so I definitely need to prevent them from firing as much as possible. You can see this unit's actually firing in. Meanwhile, we did get up and around the flank with these 2 units of Saurus. They're going to be taking on these Skaven Slave Spears. They'll be able to cut through them, but it will take them quite some time, so that's quite alright with me. Meanwhile, over here, getting some nice healing with the Cold-Blooded there on the Temple Guard, just trying to keep them fresh as much as possible, but taking a bit of fire from the Warp Fire Thrower in the flank. It's a bit unfortunate there, but we will be able to break through those Skaven Slaves in short order. Decided to switch my target onto the Poisonwind Globadiers as the Catapult's not getting a whole lot of shots off at this point. We are finally bringing around Kroq-Gar's Waddle crew. These guys are pretty slow. The Cold One Spear Riders are some of the slower heavy cav in the game, and Kroq-Gar on foot is woefully slow at 30 speed. Looks like it's actually a debuff from the Skaven casting spell, making him even slower, so very nice for the Skaven. But yeah, it is looking a bit rough for them. They really don't have the killing power to help hold up in this fight. Looks like we're gonna get Plague from the Plague Priest. They're gonna do a ton of damage to those Temple Guards. Really cool looking spell. You don't see it used too often in multiplayer, but you can see this kind of effigy of the Rat Man doing his magic here. Going to be getting some really nice work done. It actually does quite a bit of damage there. But yeah, those Temple Guard took a ton of damage, but we are collapsing here. The dinos are still fairly healthy. I am last on points at the moment. Looks like Rising Chaos mostly cleaning up Black Iron at this point. He's definitely gotten the better of that engagement, but Black Iron's troops are still holding out. Those Tyrannok chariots still continuing to ride around. Unfortunately, they did just get tangled up in these Witch Elves, so now they're going to get locked down in all these Blackguard. That's possibly worst case scenario for them, but yeah, it looks to be all but over for the High Elves. They are doing some nice damage to Malekith, though, with this Frostheart Phoenix. Maybe if they're able to get him off the battlefield, they could come back on points, but you can see Turin and Black Iron are kind of swapping places. Rising Chaos with a commanding lead, and I am slowly but surely working through the Skaven. It is taking quite a while, as the Lizardmen are not exactly the speediest race, but they're definitely getting in here. We've used up all the ammo on the Laser Lizards, so now just getting to work on the Skaven infantry, just absolutely raffle stomping them with all these Bastiladons. Man, they're great units. Definitely rough time for the Skaven. These Storm Vermin with Halberds will help somewhat here, but he really needs to get these Poisonwind Globadiers free and start firing in on the Dinos. That's really the only saving grace that he could potentially have here. Gonna have to be very careful, though. This Grayseer here is in a bit of a rough situation. My Skink Chief was trying to assassinate him, but now the tables have been turned. Skink Chief is getting beat up by the Plague Priest and the Assassin here, so he's not going to have too great of a time, but thankfully we're breaking through. We're going to be able to bring him up some reinforcements with some Skink and some Saurus and just kind of push off a lot of the rest of the Skaven troops. You can see this pocket here. It's taken me quite a while to slog through, but the Saurus are, they're definitely winning out here. Their high weapon strength and decent defensive stats mean they're going to take relatively little damage, and they will be able to beat through a majority of these rats. But over here, the last pockets of High Elf resistance holding out. They actually were able to clean up quite a few forces, and I said the High Elves were going to lose that engagement, but not sure 100% what happened. They must have gotten Malekith with the Phoenix there, and I must have not seen that. Might have to go back. But yeah, it looks like they were able to finish cleaning up shop with this Tyrannok Chariot and the Nobles barely rallying. But yeah, Black Iron came back and almost took out the lead from Rising Chaos. But now that Rising Chaos is out of the battlefield, Black Iron could potentially get a little bit of value. Granted, this force here is very, very tattered, and it looks like I'm going to be able to pull through this engagement here with most of my dinos intact. You can see a general retreat going off here from the Skaven, trying to pull back into the forests where his units will have some kind of advantage against the large monstrous creatures, but they are still just Skaven and definitely not immune to psychology in any way, shape, or form, so they're not going to have too good of a time with the dinos here. The Grayseer is trying to run away. Now you can see the tables have been turned once again. The Skaven Assassin here getting beaten up on by Skinks, and the Skink Chief leading the way here. He's definitely one of my favorite looking units in the game, and man, these Skinks they're cute little guys. They're beating him up. He's got some moves though, for sure. That Assassin, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But over here we've finished off that last pocket of Storm Vermin that was holding up, and just trying to force as many of these Skaven units off the battlefield as possible at this point. I'm still, coming back on points, still in last place, but about 1,000 behind Turin, 2,500 give or take behind Rising Chaos. So, definitely in for a rough time. Let's see if we can bring it back. The nice thing is, with these dinos, I still have a few charges left on the Revivification Crystal, and really the High Elves don't have enough armor piercing to really get through anything. They have a few tattered units of archers that aren't going to be able to do much. This Phoenix is really the only armor-piercing troop that he has. Some nice fire from the Warp Fire Thrower, flaming those Skinks, which is a bit sad, but they're definitely going to be routing off here soon. With all these terror-causing dinosaurs, you can see the Grayseer here running in terror, then rallying, and then immediately regretting his life decisions as he gets chucked across the battlefield here. And the Globadiers are trying to fire over into this Laser Lizard over here, but the Revivification Crystal Bastiladon is going to be chasing them off and getting a terror route right here next to the edge of the map. You can see a lot of the Skaven running to the hills. They are sick of this fight. But yeah, still in last place at this point, but coming back on points and looking to take a commanding lead here soon. These Illyrian Reavers doing a very nice job kind of circle beating on this Skink Chief. We're going to get these Saurus with spears to come support here. Looks like a very bold move diving in with that Frostheart Phoenix into the spears. If we're able to get us around with the Saurus with spears, we could potentially do a lot of damage there, but we'll see how it goes. The Skink Chief actually gets killed there, so man, that's a grudging if I've ever seen one. See if we're able to avenge poor little Skink Chief and finish off this Frostheart Phoenix here. A nice rear charge coming in from the Illyrian Reavers, but they're not going to do a whole lot of damage here. And once the Saurus start to turn around and use their spears to beat them back, they'll definitely take quite a bit of damage here. So the slow Dino squad is trying and desperately to force off the last of the Skaven here, but it is taking quite a long time. But you know what they say, slow and steady wins the race, and the turtle boys will be able to hopefully carry the day here. You can see the Tyrannok chariots coming in here for one last charge. Again, the anti-large of the Saurus spears will be very nice. They do have 12 armor piercing as well, so, you know, 27 in total that'll be applied there. It's going to be very nice. Looks like we are able to terror route them off. And just trying to collect the last of my forces now. Krokar was waddling over this way, chasing off some Skaven. He's continuing to waddle back, and man, Krokar is so slow without Grimlock. I understand now why pretty much people never take him like this. Not to mention the terror and all the other benefits of Krokar, but he's just woefully slow on foot. So over here, though, Tyrion is getting circle beaten by lizards. Trying to get some support here from the Frostheart Phoenix, but it's just going to be a little too late. It is able to do some nice damage against this solar engine, but you can see the enraged Saurus, having seen their skink chief and getting beat up, they're going to finish off that Tyrannok chariot there. So chariots are down, and unfortunately the skink cohort getting terror routed off, but the Waddle Squad is coming, and the Bastillodons are not too happy about this situation. They've been shot at and beat up throughout this whole battle, so they're very tired and just ready for this to be done. Oh man, the waddle is real, guys. It's very, very, very real. But Frostheart Phoenix is getting very low at this point, desperately sending in the last of these spearmen and archers who've used up the rest of their ammo to try and finish things off here. Tyrion continuing to hammer away here, and looks like they may actually get a rout. Or these Saurus, no, they're just chasing the Frostheart Phoenix. One of the units actually routed there, but the rest of the Waddle Squad's coming, and it's kind of like I totally just lost my train of thought. Like the pain train, I guess, but moving at about 5 miles an hour. And at this point, most of the High Elf forces are terror routed off. It's only really Tyrion at this point who's holding out, and the Bastillodon squad's coming for him. He's not too happy about life. He's gonna get whomped on here pretty hard. The Phoenix is somehow still alive here. Man, these things are super tanky, but it's very, very low. Has only 200 hit points left. It's going to break, and Tyrion's got about 1,700 hit points left. He's not too happy about this situation either. Getting in some nice chop moves, but fortunately these Bastillodons are going to be a little bit too much for him to handle, so we should see him routing off fairly shortly here. And man, what an epic battle. Really an epic battle. Although I was behind on points for most of the game, you saw I was able to pull ahead there just at the end, so let's go ahead and take a look at the breakdown. So yeah, able to pull ahead to about 13,832 points in total. Black Iron getting second place at 11,006. Rising Chaos 10,920. Did very well initially, but then kind of got beat down by Black Iron. And Turin coming in at 9,295. So let's go ahead and look at the army breakdowns here. You can see the Saurus really racking up a lot of kills against the Skaven infantry. Same thing with the solar engines, and the Revivification Crystal getting 43 is nice. Feral Bastillodon 44, 67 kills on the Cold One Spear Riders was great as well. Krokar himself mostly just waddled around, but you know, no one really challenged him too much. So for Black Iron, man, that Phoenix really came in clutch there, along with the Tyrannok chariot, and that Noble was an absolute terror on the chariot. 105 kills. If an opponent doesn't have the appropriate tools to deal with a Noble on a chariot, they can get a ton of kills, and they're definitely a really powerful unit, force to be reckoned with. Tyrion himself getting 84 kills is very nice. Spearmen got beat down, but the archers were able to, combine with the Silver Helms, and these Illyrian Reavers got quite a few kills as well. So Black Iron pulling out that very, very close fight against Rising Chaos. 204 kills. Holy cow. Those Blackheart Corsairs, man, they don't mess around. The Harpies mostly got beat down by the Phoenix and the Eagle. The Cold One Chariot did get some really nice initial work done against the Skaven, but those Dark Riders in Vanguard really got beat down by the Death Runners. Blackguard of Nagron holding very well in the center there, but, unfortunately just not able to do quite enough. Mixing them in with those Witch Elves was a really nice play, though, and they definitely took out quite a few of Black Iron's units. For Turin, Just so many Skaven slaves, which is a bit rough. I mean, with the randomly generated armies, it's it's always a bit of a crapshoot, but so many Skaven slaves. That Plague Claw catapult, however, 115 kills, that got some really nice work done. The Warp Lightning Cannon got out-traded pretty hard by those solar engines. You guys saw what I was talking about with them being able to blow up the cannon models. The Doom Wheel kind of got caught by Krokar and those cold ones, which has been unfortunate. Otherwise, it would have been able to do some really nice work. And thankfully, I was able to really push through aggressively and get on these Globadiers. Otherwise, they could have pretty much taken out my entire Dino squad. But, Death Runner's doing well. The Storm Vermin did well also, but just so many Skaven slaves and just not really able to hold up. And that's the risk with, bringing Skaven into randomly generated. So, hope you guys enjoyed this random gen free-for-all. I sure enjoyed playing it. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm bringing it with Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so if that's your thing, keep it right here for more, and we'll see you next time.